We meet again at last. The circle is now complete.
What's the world coming to?
Well, you got a problem with what I did, Anthony?
Oh, no. Hey, no.
Fucking rat anyways. Whole family's all rats. Would have grew up to be a rat.
Stupid bastard. I can't fucking believe it.
Gee, I'm real sorry your mom blew up, Ricky.
Now you're gonna dig the fucking thing. You're gonna dig the hole. You're gonna do it. I got no fucking line. You're gonna do it.
Yes, I'll take the fucking hole. I don't give a fuck.
I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was pure and simple evil.
Jesus Christ. Mister, you okay in there?
Let's see, there's coffees around here someplace.
Have you any idea what the cost of your actions is? What their effect might be? Or are you to give them hope? What do you give them? We give them happiness. And they give us authority. Groovy.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Cinephellas Podcast number 108. This is Bob, and I talked with Greg Lingo and Paolo Pilladi about their movie Last Call, starring Jeremy Piven, Jamie Kennedy, Bruce Dern, and more. Give a listen as I talk to them about how they came up with the movie, how they got that cast, and exactly what was their favorite part of filming. Take a listen, and I hope you enjoy.
Hey. Hi, you have Greg Lingo here and Paolo Pilladi.
Hey, gentlemen, how are you today?
Good.
Great. How are you? I can't complain. I'm in the Midwest, and apparently we're supposed to get snow, and it's not snowing yet. I'm good right now. It was 70 or it was 60 something 2 days ago. I'm really I got to move out of Chicago. So I got a chance to watch Last Call this weekend, and got a couple questions for you. Now, Greg, I saw you were from West Darby, correct?
Yeah, I'm from Upper Darby originally. So the town that we have, this fictional name of Darby Heights was, it should feel like the town that I grew up in, that Paolo grew up in, the adjacent neighborhood, really. So we made up the name Darby Heights, but it really is, kind of any city that's grappling for its identity in the shadows of a big city.
Okay, yeah, I definitely got a feel for it. For some reason, I kept getting a Boston feel. The couple times I've been to Boston, I like going into the small towns, and I felt like the small sea towns and whatnot. Yeah,
and I think the reason for that is because the Philadelphia suburbs haven't nearly been celebrated as much as South Boston has in film. So I think that would make sense, that connection, I think.
And I was reading a little back. Went through Villanova, all that, and it's like, you came back and wrote a story about, something you learned, something you grew up with. It's really kind of cool. I didn't know you guys lived close by each other. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were separated by Cobbs Creek Golf Course, which is kind of where the high school kids, the bad golfers would play and the high school kids would drink along the course. But what was interesting about Cobbs Creek Golf Course, when Bruce Dern came on the set, and I asked him, for one, I wanted to thank him for being a part of the film, but I asked him kind of what attracted him to the film, and he said, well, not only the script, which he really liked, but he knew Cobbs Creek Golf Course really well, so therefore he knew Upper Darby. He had gone to the University of Penn, so he was kind of right around the corner from. But he said he used to golf there, and he knew Upper Darby. He actually lived in Upper Darby for a little bit while he was in school. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that's the area that bordered where I grew up from where Paolo grew up.
Yeah, I got to say, when I saw Bruce Dern in the movie, I'm a huge Bruce Dern fan. I'm pretty sure anyone who loves cinema has to have a Bruce Dern role that they love. Personally, mine was The Burbs. Always will be. I loved everything, Nebraska, all that stuff was great, but for some reason, like, anytime I see him, I still picture The Burbs. Now, I gotta ask, now, with the casting and everything like that, who, was this like, how can I put this, was this your ideal cast? You have big names in here. You have Jamie Kennedy, Jeremy Piven, Terry Manning, again, I mean, Bruce Dern. I mean, like, these are some big names. This isn't something you usually see in, in an independent film, especially one that, a first-time writer, like, this isn't usually the cast that you would see in a movie like that. And, was this your dream cast? Like, was this exactly what you pictured when you were writing?
Well, for me, yeah, it greatly exceeded my expectations when it was not nearly. I never dreamed of having a cast this accomplished, this big, at all. And at least from my perspective, writing it and revising, what Greg had initially started. No, I didn't. I don't typically write with actors in mind per se, unless they're already attached to something, and then we work together. But yeah, no. I mean, honestly, I thought we were going to make this thing with kind of regional New York, Philly based kind of talent, and I joke around with my producers all the time. Like, I don't quote unquote need names. I just need good actors, but this one, we didn't use a casting director per se. I had brought the project to my producing partner, DJ Dodd. He had worked with Bruce Dern on a previous film and went directly to him. Likewise, Rob Simmons, one of our other producers, he had worked with Taron on a previous project and Zach McGowan, and so went to them directly. And from Taron, we got Jeremy, and Greg had grown up with Jamie Kennedy. And so it was just kind of basically a team effort, but all through kind of the Rolodex, so to speak. But it goes to show especially for independent filmmakers who might be intimidated by getting scripts out there. You never know who's going to like it, man. You throw it out there and you see what happens. And yeah, I mean, blessed beyond belief to get this cast.
I was going to say, like, those are some big gets. I mean, when I saw Jeremy Piven, Jamie, like, all these people, I was like, oh, wow. Like, I thought that, like, this must have been, like, they sought it out. But, I mean, that sounds like all the stars aligned right at the right moment. And you're absolutely right. People who have that script who are afraid of getting a bunch of, people that someone might know, or, like, I'll be honest, this cast drew me in right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, a lot of credit has to go to our producers, because from Taron was the first to sign up, and that gave us some legitimacy. Like, okay, Taron is, Taron's a great get for us. She's legit big, a real nice size name for our film. And then from there, momentum. It just the ball started rolling down the hill, and we were off and running. It's another remarkable, when I look back on it, another remarkable aspect is we cast the film in under a month. From when we started casting to when we started shooting was, I think, under a month, which is insane. I mean, sometimes you can wait months to hear back from one actor on one role. And, we had a large ensemble, and it just fell into place. We didn't get very many no's at all. People were, it resonated, which is always what you want to hear,
Absolutely, and it feels like they all had a good rapport amongst each other. Especially, I feel like you could put Jamie Kennedy with anyone, and he'll just play off of them. It's similar with Jeremy Piven. Is there any kind of funny on-set stories you've had with anybody?
Yeah, I think one of the things for me as a novice to this, is Greg talking. At one point, we were doing a scene, and Jamie kind of said to Paolo, "Hey, are you okay if I kind of just run with this, kind of say whatever?" And a credit to Paolo, he said, "Yeah, oh, of course, And Jamie has such strong stand-up comedic strengths. But the funny part to me was he then turned to Jeremy, and he said, "I'm going to apologize to you now because I don't know what the F's going to come out of my mouth." So I think he really caught. Do you remember some of the rest of the cast were flabbergasted at the stuff that he was able to kind of string off. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so much that goes into all of that. And, when you write a story about a group of kind of middle-aged guys who haven't really gotten out of this neighborhood. I mean, in the story, these guys can finish each other's. They're like old married couples, you know. They could finish each other's sentences, all of them. And in the case of Jack McGee and Bruce Dern's characters, maybe they've been together for 60, 70 plus years, right? So, you know, we don't have the luxury of a rehearsal schedule. And, you know, how do you make these characters feel like they've known each other their whole lives? And that's not an easy thing to do. And again, I mean, just benefited from such a rock star, you know, a rock star cast that was, you know, that just had those kind of chops that could slide right in and then, you know, go off on tangents when it made sense. And, you know, Bruce Dern, you know, Dern has Dernsies. It's a term, you know, he goes off the rails too. And you know, lucky, like, you know, Jeremy, you know, you mentioned like playing off of, Jamie playing off people. Jeremy's one of those players that is just, he has the ability to raise everyone else's game. And he's so quick, he's so fast that, you know, he can keep up, with wherever it's kind of going. And for me, from a directing standpoint, I love it because it keeps everything fresh, right? It keeps the actors on their toes, and it forces them to listen to the other player, and that's when you really start getting the nuggets. But you can't be afraid to go there, like Greg was saying. Like you have to, you know, you got to give your players enough leash to kind of find, and then trust to find it. And again, I don't know what I don't know with a different cast if we would have been able to have that luxury. But I felt very comfortable from the very first take with Jeremy that he was the first thing we did, that we could do that and continue to do that through production.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, watching Jeremy in a more dramatic role than I'm used to seeing him in. You know, Mr. Selfridge is the other one that he did with, I believe it was BBC or PBS. Yeah. I mean, I loved him. PCU, sadly, one of my guilty pleasures is The Goods. So I love watching him go over the top and just be this comedic genius. So it was different to see him go into a dramatic, more kind of serious role. It caught me off guard. And Jamie Kennedy at points almost felt like he was playing down himself, you know. But I got to be honest, for some reason, him with the white blazer letting people in the bar, for some reason that made me laugh a little too hard. I was just like, oh, yep, you know what? I've met a guy who exactly is that. He doesn't have much, but if he's got one piece of clothing that's really nice, he's going to show that off and make you feel bad that you don't got it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great example of Jamie kind of going, you know, there's a line there with the 3 stain policy that was just, he was just riffing, and that's going to be one of the quotes. That's going to be one of the quotes of the film, I think. People seem to, you know, and it's hilarious. And yeah, you know, I'm a big, and you're seeing it now, but especially. But you mentioned Nebraska and Will Forte in that role, you know, and he was primarily known as a comedic actor, and he was brilliant in that film. Jason Sudeikis in Ted Lasso, riding that line. Comedic actor, it's you know, the comedy's hard, right? If these guys could do comedy, sliding into drama is, I love casting. I love looking at comedic actors for more quote unquote dramatic roles. Because if they could do the comedy side, doing the drama is just easier. So, you know, because comedy's so hard. And Jeremy has such range. He's just tremendous. He has such range that you know, he could get his jokes in different ways, right? So good. I'm glad that you felt in a way, because that was one of the goals for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I just started watching Ted Lasso, and I'm totally into it. But I love the comedic. Will Ferrell going into Everything Must Go, another smaller movie. I love that movie. It bothers me that so many people haven't seen it, because Will Ferrell just becomes this genius of, you feel his pain throughout the whole thing. You're right. Comedians, it's almost like they take a load off, and they don't have to be funny. They can share a little bit of pain. It's really good.
Yeah, well, I mean, my goodness, Melissa McCarthy. I was just listening to a podcast with her, with Jason Bateman, and they were talking about just that. And she's another one, a good example of that. Obviously, Robin Williams. I mean, and I think as it relates to Last Call and the story, you know, this neighborhood is really important. It was important to Greg and I. It's really important in the film to kind of feature as a, you know, it's tired, it's on the ropes a little bit, but it's still proud. And so there's a sadness there, and there's a sadness in some of these, you know, the inhabitants, right? But I think the best comedy has a good bit of sadness in it, and vice versa. So, you know, for me, it was important to kind of ride that line a little bit, because if it's just, you know, jokes and comedy is very individualized and specific and kind of fleeting, right? And so, you know, I think it always plays best when you can balance it with a bit of, you know, with a bit of drama and a bit of sadness.
Yeah, and especially when you get those breaks of, like you said, the comedic stuff, like you said, the 3 state rules, or when he's like, were you even dressing up thinking you were going out today? Like, that got me going. And the one that I actually had a spit take in the movie, this will come out after the movie's released, but the way shot with Bruce Dern, I spit so much of my drink out at that moment. I just put my hands up. I was like, okay, you know, like there's not a lot of things that can get me real hard. And I was like, okay, let's sum it up. And then boom, oh my gosh, I laughed so hard. And that's when I was just like, see, Bruce Dern again. You know, just the man's just a gift, you know. And I have yet to see him in something like, he's fantastic.
You know, it's we were joking that, you know, we're gonna get Bruce his Oscar for that particular scene, but I have a quick anecdote from the first time I talked to Bruce Dern, and we knew he was interested, but he wanted to talk to the director, so he called me up on it's a Sunday night, and it's, you know, pretty late, and he calls up, he's like, Paolo, he's like, I'm Bruce Dern. He's like, I need to first things first, I need to talk about that last scene. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go, you know. There's no way he's gonna want to do this scene. And he's like, I fucking love it. Oh my god, blah blah blah. And he's like, it's like a Hangover for adults. And I'm like, and I'm just floored. And I'm like, and then, you know, he goes, and he's so sharp too. And that's another thing. The most generous actor. And I learned so much from him. And he had the entire Jeremy on down just eating out of his hand the days he was on set. But he's such a great storyteller, and he's so, you know, he had bought in. He just genuinely loved the story, and you know, so he was totally game for that scene. I mean, totally game for it. So I think I hope other people get the same. I hope we get the same reaction out of the rest of the audience as did out of you.
I mean, like you said, like Bruce Dern, he's comedic. He's an established actor. He's this, and then to see that happen, it's just. I was just like, well, all right, he surprised me with that. You know, you guys really, like I said, it's rare to find something that'll get you, like, just that instantaneous, your immediate spit take right then and there.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
The moments people pull away from the movie, that, and, I mean, obviously, Jamie Kennedy riffing. I'm glad to hear that you guys let him just have free reign, him and Jeremy Piven, considering, like you said, the comedic timing. And their comedic minds are just fantastic.
Yep.
How do you think with Jeremy being a Chicago boy, and you're from there, how will it be received in Chicago?
It should be good, just because, I mean, you've been to Chicago, there's so many hole-in-the-wall bars. There's so many, like, on the north side, you'll get some that are more, how can I put it? They're from the 50s, you know, they're from the 60s, and it's just these old Irish pubs. And I mean, so that's where I looked at that one. Yeah, I've been in a couple places like that, you know. So I think people in Chicago will definitely be able to relate, especially when it comes to a father trying to get his pub remain going and still having these dreams. And so, like, it feels like everything's closing in because, I mean, there's a lot of neighborhoods in Chicago that have been demolished over or meant to be rehabbed to make them look completely different. And these mom and pop places are kind of losing out on it. So, I mean, that kind of part resonated over to a lot of stuff. My great uncle lived above a funeral home, and there was an old like all of our family members would go to the funeral home, and then everyone would go to the bar right across the street. And they wanted to make it look new. And so, I mean, you got to see this neighborhood go through this transition that no one was ready for, no one really wanted, and no one welcomed it. So watching that part of, you know, the casino and this coming through, it kind of made me go like, oh yeah, I remember when they tried to put if someone wanted to put a Whole Foods, like, you don't put a Whole Foods in a neighborhood like this, you know? It was just,
yeah,
it's good.
Right.
But
awesome.
no, I have to
Thank
say,
you so much for your time. This was really great.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time out, especially and it feels like you guys really poured your heart and soul into this script and stuff. You know, like I said, I did a little research on you guys, and I saw, you know, where you came from. I didn't put two and two together on the closeness of where you guys grew up, but I mean, to see where you went from the small town, you built yourself up, and this was almost like a love letter, a love song to your childhood and to the good times in your life. I definitely felt that from watching it, of sitting back going, you know, the man loved his neighborhood. The man, you know what I mean? Like, just gotta say, the pictures of the pubs at the end through the credits and all that were so good. And again, that sort of like helps people resonate and go, like, you see the faces of people who put their heart and soul out to make sure everyone has a good time and come into their pub, and it's more of a family than just a business.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I love it. I think, you know, one of the things for where Paolo and I grew up, the pubs in a lot of ways became you know, we didn't have money for ritzy vacations and traveling, and I think the pubs were our parents' escape. You know, that's where they kind of went to relax and to hang out and to put their troubles aside, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, it absolutely does.
Sounds good.
Oh,
All right. Hey, thank you so much again, Bob.
Oh, you guys, thank you so much for your time. I'll be sitting back watching your guys' success, and here's to a couple more good movies coming out of you guys. I'll have a pint for you guys later on today.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our little conversation there. Again, the movie's Last Call. It's coming out March 19th, 2021. It's writers Greg Lingo and Paolo Pilladi. It's from IFC Films. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.